I got me some dad shoes.
What's going on, guys? Pixelated here, back at it again with another review. Today we're looking at a shoe that Nike brought back from the dead. Yes, they revived a classic sneaker, and that sneaker is the Nike Pantheos. Panthers? Formerly known as the Pantheon, the sneaker released in 1993. I'm not going to pretend like I had some nostalgic connection to these sneakers. I was tiny back then and probably had no idea what was going on around me at the time. But for a lot of people, these sneakers are nostalgic for that very reason. So the Pantheos are a revived, renewed version of the Pantheons that released in 1993. Now, they're not exactly the same. Actually, quite a bit has changed from the Pantheons to these, which is probably the reason for the name change. Even though it's a super slight name change, I mean, it's literally one letter. I'll put up a picture right now. The Nike Pantheon is a dad shoe if anyone's ever seen one. It seems to check all the boxes. It has the old-timey look to it, a little bit of chunk, nothing remotely streamlined in its design. The classic old-school style plain white rope laces. The only real difference between these and the typical dad shoe is the use of neoprene in the upper, which we'll get into in a bit. If you're wondering where I got my pair off Nike's website. When they first released, they sold out almost immediately. Then a week or two ago, they actually restocked on Nike's website, and I was lucky enough to get a word of it when it happened, so I went through and checked out. This colorway in particular has dried up, and only size 11.5 and 12 US are left on the Canadian site. But there are numerous colorways that still have plenty of sizes, so feel free to grab those if you like these. I'll leave a link in the description for them. As for sizing, I went true to size on these and they fit perfectly. I'm a wide foot, so hashtag duck feet gang, you already know. And they still fit good at true to size. The length is perfect, the width is perfect too. I'd recommend going true to size even if you're a narrow foot. It's just the proper length, and it's not specifically made to accommodate wide feet, so it's not like they fit big or anything. At the end of the day, you know your foot best, so go based on what you think is right. But for me, true to size were a perfect fit. Now, a lot of people, when they saw these, were hoping these would stay more true to the original Pantheons, but I for one am glad they didn't. But we'll get into that a little later. The upper of this sneaker is made of numerous classic materials. We have this brushy gray suede panel creating the toe cap. We have these black brushy suede panels creating an arch on the side of the shoe and reinforcing the bottom two eye stays. The rest of the eye stays are reinforced by another light gray brushy suede panel that wraps around the back of the shoe to the other side. Can I just take a moment to say I'm really enjoying the use of the premium suede panels on this shoe? Seriously, they hit it out of the park with these when it comes to the amount of suede on this shoe. We have yet another gray suede panel that encapsulates the heel portion of the shoe and has Nike branding with the Nike swoosh underneath printed on it in a muted purple or lavender color. Once again, thoroughly satisfied with the amount of suede use on the sneaker. Then there's the hit of pink, which is the Nike swoosh on the lateral and medial sides of the shoe. I think that color blocking is great and it adds a hit of interest to the shoe, very eye-catching, and the pink goes great with the rest of the relatively neutral tones of the rest of the shoe. We have the classic dad shoe white rope laces going through the eye stays and eyelets. Then we have the part of the shoe that really makes this unique and helps it stand out from most old school and even new school dad shoes. All these suede panels overlay an entire layer of neoprene that forms the rest of the upper. We can see this white neoprene that makes up the toe box, and then it converts to the lavender neoprene that makes the back half of the shoe. The lavender neoprene also makes the tongue of the sneaker, and we have this black tongue tab with Nike branding in pink. The inside of this shoe is lined with fabric that is the same lavender color, and we have pink insoles with Nike's trademark classic slogan. You know the one, just do it, screen printed in a black box. That's always great to see, huh? The most unique thing about revamping the model is what they did to the midsole. The OG Pantheon midsole had multiple lines running through it, whereas this one only has one near the heel area. Now, the OG did have those lines running through the same heel area where the Pantheos has this one line, so it leads me to believe that this one line was left in a sort of nod to the history and origin of its OG predecessor. Apparently, Nike also improved on the midsole by adding its newer improved cushioning technology as well. I can't speak to how the OGs feel, but I can say that these don't have anything revolutionary in them. It really just feels like a chunky foam or EVA midsole. Maybe they just made it softer. The outsole has this unique pattern to it. It has a futuristic looking Tetris-like feel to it with these rectangular zigzagging shapes. I'm not sure if the OG had a similar pattern, and I don't know if it does much for the grip on the shoe, but the outsole does have this concave shape to it too, like it's sinking inwards at the center of the shoe. When it comes to comfort, I can't really say there's anything out of the ordinary here. The upper is made of traditional materials. The neoprene construction is relatively unique, but it's definitely been around a while, clearly, since the OG Pantheon was made with neoprene as well. The upper is comfortable though. It's soft and forms to the shape of your foot with extra reinforcement from the leather suede panels. The midsole is a regular chunky midsole, kind of reminds me of a Roshe midsole. Don't expect too much from the comfort here. The real question is, does this revamped Nike Pantheos do justice to the OG Nike Pantheons released in 1993? And by a lot of standards, that answer is a resounding no. The midsole doesn't look anything like the OG Pantheon, which granted I think is a good change. They seem to have modified it to be more appropriate for a modern aesthetic, because let's be honest, the OG midsole looks dated AF. The upper, on the other hand, although it has similarly aligned suede panels, they actually don't align nearly similarly to the panels on the OG Pantheon. The tongue shape isn't even the same shape, and it loses the Pantheon branding that is on the OG tongue as well. So when it comes to staying true to the OG, there's quite a bit of discrepancy here. I think it's justified though, because these aren't the same shoe, and that's why they're named different, even though it's almost the same name as the OG sneaker with that singular letter change. And finally, the more important, larger scale question we have to ask here is, does Nike win the best dad shoe race? As we all know, there's this rising trend in the sneaker game of the chunky, ugly dad shoe. We've seen that from almost all brands, and it's been quite a prominent trend. The question we have to ask is, does this shoe really take the cake in that regard? Well, I'll be honest with you, I don't think it does. Compared to what's coming out on the market today, I don't think this shoe is nearly chunky nor ugly enough to do that. To Nike's merit, this is a relatively good looking shoe regardless of its old school heritage. Let me know whether you agree with that or not in the comments. What did you think about these shoes? Hit that like or subscribe if you took anything from the video. I'm going to work on my dad bod. Pixelated is about to go eat.